What's up, Bevel here. In this video we'll talk about scaling an object in Blender. I'll just go through with the ways in which we can scale an object in Blender. If you want to scale anything, you just select your object, just go to tab, and you just go here, which is the mesh edit mode. You just press that, and you can see like there's like a lot of buttons, so you don't have to get confused. You just have to see this edge length. When you click that, you can see the length that is here in your mesh. This is a very default or like basic way of scaling or like checking the scales angles of your mesh. Now if you go again, you can check like there are like a lot of options here. So if we deselect this one and go for edge angle, you can see it shows the angle. So when we change a direction of a vertex, you can see the angle is changing with it. So if you press A to select all the vertices, you can see like it shows like 84.68 angle, which is I think a distance of this angle to this, maybe something like that. But yeah, we can see the angle. You can also check the face area. If you select the face, you can check the area of the face. And if you compare it with this one, it has 4 meters square. And if you want to check the face angle, you can just go here and you can see what's the face angle. Another thing that you have to take care of, your mesh is very dense. This chaos will happen, so make sure your mesh is not very dense. It should have less vertices, or if you have any modifier like subdivision surface applied, you have to disable it. That is why scaling is the first thing that you should do when you're modeling. Most of the artists usually use this edge length because it solves like 90% of the problems regarding the scale. Now if I select everything and then I press S to scale it downwards, you can check the the length of each edge is changing, which is good. But the problem is when we go to object mode by pressing tab and we scale it, let's say we scale it outwards or inwards, whatever. But when we scale it, we change the scale in object mode. You go to tab, you see it's the same distance. All right, let me just go to edge mode and show you. All right, so remember that it's 0.593 meters. So I go here, I scale it upwards again, and you see the scale hasn't changed. Now, that issue is happening because we haven't applied the scale. To apply the scale, we have to select the object, press Ctrl A, and you can see there are like a bunch of options there. So you just have to press Apply Scale, and you can see it will change our edge length. Always make sure you don't miss it because a lot of beginners, including myself, didn't focus on this part, and usually we mess up with the size, and when somebody else is using a model, it's gonna create a lot of problem and it's gonna provide a lot of time for them to adjust the model according to their scene. Now if for some reason you do not want it in meters, you want it in inches or feet or any other measuring unit, you can easily do that by going to the scene properties. And then you can check here, it's written units. You just go here, you open that, and you can just see it's metric or imperial. I think people in states, they use imperial system more. So you can go to imperial, you can just change the rotation to degrees or radians. You can change the length to feet, and you can see if I go for inches, it just shows it in inches. I can change the mass to tons or stones for some reason, I don't know, pounds. Yeah, time, we can also change time. And you can just even do that in metric as well. And the best tip, if you're a modeler, you should have a real world scale, because that helps you to measure objects that you're modeling. And then that way you can see the units, and then you can just use the same units. If you do not model with the blueprints, that's just a very professional way to model an object with real life units. But if for some reason you do not have an access to a ruler, or your object is very huge and you cannot measure it, there's this estimation that you can do, which is to use a human inside a real world scale. A lot of people do that, and websites including Sketchfab do this, especially in AR VR, where you have to have the exact size of an object. So if you're in this niche, you have to take care of your mesh, and it should match the real value of a human body. Now to replicate that same process in Blender, you just have to select your cube, and the first thing that you have to take care of your mind is the size that you're gonna go for the human. In my case, I'm just gonna make it 6 feet tall. So to do that, I will just go to the scene properties again, go to units, and I'll change it to imperial. I'll change that to feet, it's automatic. So I'll just go to edit mode, I'll go to orthographic mode here, I'll go to wireframe to select everything. I'll just increase the size to Z axis. And now you can see it's becoming 16 feet tall, which is not an average human size. So right now the scale is 6.5. I'll just decrease it a little bit downwards. That's a 6 feet tall box. We don't want a box. We just want to make something like human. So I'll just decrease the size from Z and it's not Z, but from like X and Y axis to make it a little bit slim. And now you can see it becomes like a human. And I'll just move it up a little bit like that. Now that way you can change the object size to real world by just estimating it with the human replicate of our mesh, and you can apply the real scale to the object. This cube does not look like a human, and I mean, yeah, if you want to make it a human, you can just go to edit mode, you can go to preferences, use this Rigify add-on, you can just apply that, press Shift A, you can just go to armature, go to the Rigify meta rigs, and you can just select human. And you can see it's almost same size. So that's a very fast way. Instead of modeling this, we have a thing which looks like a human. And that way we can also correct the scale of our objects. Now there's one more add-on which is available for making measuring smooth, which is Measure It. You can enable that. It's also a good tool. There's like a bunch of options. Like you can, change the text color. You can also change the text size. You can rotate the text, stuff like that. There's like a bunch of things. But in my case, I usually stick with the edge length and edge angle. Now, the best way to measure the overall length of an object, which has like a lot of vertices or like which is subdivision ready model, and you still need to measure the length. You usually go here to the orthographic view and you select the last vertex that you see. You press Shift and then you select the last vertex of the other corner. You press Shift D to duplicate it. Move the vertices to the X-axis. Press S, Z, 0 to make the size even. And you can just press F to fill in the edge. And then now you can see it is 4.6 feet tall. I don't understand that in feet, so I'm just gonna go back to the scene properties and then I'll change it to metric. And then that way I can see that it is 1.4 meters tall. And this is the way I usually use to measure the objects, because if I press A, it's a total chaos. By the way, I also have to scale it from Y-axis and press 0 to make it exactly the same size. The only downside of this is if it sticks to your mesh, that's gonna be a lot of problem. So the best way is go to edit mode, press L to select the, by the way, I would not recommend you to enable that. So when you press L, that way you can see the extra vertices, and then you can just press P, and you can just select that. It becomes a different mesh, and that way you can separate the other things which are present in your scene. And then you can delete the extra vertices which you left. Although that's not gonna work in your case because you're smart. And there's one more thing which I want to mention, and I don't like that too much because it's very hard to delete in my case. It's this measure thing. If I go here, I just press this, drag it like that, and I can quickly measure the size. But sometimes, it just does not work in my case. So I usually go here to orthographic view and I just select like that and see the overall length of the edge, that way I can just measure it correctly. It's also good for measuring any sort of angle, so I'll just go here and go like this, and then I can select that it's 108 degree angle, and it works correctly because we were in the orthographic view. So it's good for calculating angles and stuff, but most of the time I just use mesh edit mode. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please share it with your friends. You can subscribe to my channel for more quality content like this. Also, if you want to grab this cool Anvil model, it's free. You can get the link in the description below. For now, I'm just gonna go. Peace.